Hi, my name is Jordan Korfman, and this is my presentation on genetics and faith. To begin, I wanted to go over with what genetics are. Genetics is the study of heredity, which shows how traits are passed on from parents to their offspring, and also from generation to generation. This study primarily focuses on genes and how they influence different traits in inheritance. Within the study of genetics, many different aspects often come into play. Some of these include genes, DNA, genotypes, phenotypes, inheritance, and many other aspects. Genes are units of heredity that are made up of DNA, also known as deoxyribose nucleic acids. DNA creates segments, which are genes, that contain the instructions for making proteins within RNA. Genes are organized into chromosomes, which are organized into pairs and are essential for DNA replication and also distribution when dividing cells and making genetic material. When it comes to inheritance, genes are passed down from both parents, one copy coming from each. These genes determine genotypes and phenotypes, which are traits like eye color, height, and even influence the risk of diseases or chromosomal abnormalities. DNA changes lead to genetic differences and variation within the population. These changes lead to genetic mutations, which can either be helpful to an individual, harm an individual, or do little effect to them. One topic that falls under genetics is the idea of inheritance. Inheritance plays a very significant role within genetics and occurs through hereditary material like DNA, forming in sequences of nucleotides. Nucleotides contain adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. Individuals also receive alleles, which are variants of a gene that affect certain traits. The parents each pass one allele to their offspring, which can either be homozygous or heterozygous. Homozygous alleles are identical, and heterozygous are different. These alleles can either be dominant, meaning that they appear if one is present, or recessive, which means that they only will appear if two of them are apparent. Examples include things like eye color, hair color, genetic mutations. The next category that falls under genetics is genetic disorders. As previously mentioned, when DNA changes occur, sometimes these patterns cause diseases or disorders that can cause harm to an individual, and these can also be passed on from either one parent or from both of the parents. DNA changes can happen randomly or through environmental factors, and they can be passed on through either recessive or dominant traits that a parent possesses within their own DNA. Different disorders can occur from different levels of gene mutations. An example of a single gene mutation would be cystic fibrosis, which affects the CFTR gene. This mutation leads to people having digestive problems, bacterial and lung infections, and can also involve issues with the pancreas. Chromosome abnormalities can also occur from these mutations, an example being Down syndrome. This occurs when an error in cell division takes place, leading to an extra chromosome being placed on the 21st chromosomal pair. This often causes developmental issues and also delays, and can also just affect overall mental disability for an individual. Evolution and natural selection can also fall under the idea of genetics. Evolution is the idea that a species changes over time through genetic variations and traits, and also through natural selection, which is the idea that individuals with traits that are better suited for an environment will be more likely to survive and reproduce than those who do not have those traits. This being said, through genetics, individuals receive certain alleles and traits, some that lead to survival and reproduction, and others that do not. Over generations, this leads to certain traits becoming more favorable than others, and this also can lead to new species and adaptations to new environments. The idea of evolution and natural selection takes genes and alleles given in genetics and filters which traits are to continue or to be eliminated in many cases. One unique example that I found was lactase persistence. This genetic change that occurred when the ability for many individuals to consume dairy past infantry. This led to people in specific societies that were able to rely on dairy and not have a reaction to have a natural advantage. This being said, an individual that does not have the ability to consume dairy products would not thrive in this environment and would have to leave in order to survive. Last, I wanted to tie in faith into this study. When it comes to the idea of faith and religion, people often don't believe that the two can possibly have coexistence. However, through this course and with this project, I believe that it can very easily be seen how God's design occurs within the natural world. Studying biology has helped to deepen my understanding of God's role in this world significantly. Understanding biological concepts and all the little parts that go into them is very interesting to see. Each aspect shows that there is a creator and that nothing goes without design. The world and every aspect in it did not just automatically have the ability to know how to perform all of these tasks and concepts without them being designed in order for them to do so. This project also revealed the complexity of a design to me through the use of how particular and specific genetics are. The fact that every living organism has some form of DNA that can be passed along is fascinating. Along with this, the complex inner workings of cell divisions, chromosomal pairs, DNA and RNA, and how they each play a role in making an individual who they are is not something I personally believe could happen through chance. As stewards of creation, I feel as though a main way that we're able to honor the interconnectedness of life is to take care of the planet and also our bodies. Knowing that God designed everything for a purpose and for beauty, we should do what we can to take care of ourselves and to nourish our bodies and minds that we've been given, and also to take care of the world that God lets us live in and partake in the beauty of His creation as opposed to man-made things. Here are my references, and that is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for listening.